Can you see me at all?
It's good, Mary. Hang on.
Oh.
What the hell is that?
That's my computer. Okay. Okay, so it's got about a 10-second delay, I think.
I can't see Jack Diddley Poo. Hang on, let me get out of this thing. Go to later. Oh, you know what?
Okay, I've got 6 minutes to figure this out, so. And hopefully my mic is close enough. Oh no, I need to change this. When it's sideways. Oh, you can hear me. Okay. Hear me whisper. Look at that. Okay. Oh, it froze.
Oh, quality's way better than last time. There's no clicking.
Okay, I'm not plugged into the Ethernet. Do you think that's going to be a problem?
No, that sounds really good.
Okay, and it's not cutting in and out or anything like that?
No.
Perfect. I have it pretty close to my face. I hope I don't bump it on anybody.
Hang on, I'll get some cable just in case.
Just in case it gets wonky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My hair is a mess. Oh, there's people on.
Yeah, you're over. You didn't know
I'm
that?
over here fixing my hair like a dork.
They can
Okay.
They can hear you.
Hi guys, thank you for joining me a little bit early. I was over here in La La Land.
Doing your makeup.
Fixing my hair like a girl. So thank you for joining us live, and I'm still kind of new. This is the third live I've done, so hopefully there won't be too many kinks to iron out. But if you have any questions, just put them in the chat. I have the chat up on a screen over here so I can see what's going on. And I think there's a little bit of a delay, but not too bad. So just as soon as I see the questions pop up, I will try and answer. I have my husband on backup over here to help me out. So if there's any delay or anything, he can help out with that too. So I have actually 3 stores to review today, and I think the big thing is answering questions. If anybody has any questions, I want to make sure I get all of those answered and really just be as useful for you guys as possible. So there's a couple of minutes till we get started, but I think it's okay to start now. You think it's okay to start early? Okay, before we start, I actually do have an announcement, so
hang on. I hit a button that I wasn't supposed to.
Did you break the live stream?
I hit the advertise button again. Accident.
Okay. Apologies for any ads. My husband is button click happy over here, so he likes to just click buttons and see what they do. He should probably be banned from the buttons, but okay. So I do actually have a little bit of an announcement that I wanted to talk about for the channel. I was running into a little bit of a conundrum, I guess, because I want to make tutorials and I want to make really helpful content. You guys always have really great suggestions.
It's not 9 o'clock yet. Not everybody's on.
Okay, it's okay. It's 8:59. I think it's okay. So you guys always have really great suggestions on video ideas that you want to see and things that you want to learn. And I like actually being able to put those together for you. but it seems like every time I put together something that's not a store review, there's a drastically lower number of people who watch the video, and so it's messing up my YouTube algorithm and it's affecting my channel's growth overall. So, I came up with a really good, hopefully good solution so that I can offer really in-depth tutorials and really specific videos that you guys get to vote on actually, and it will be even more tailored to the things that you want to specifically see and specifically learn about. So, I actually just launched today a membership exclusives. I'm calling it the Etsypreneur exclusives videos, and it's $5 a month so that you get access to one exclusive video every single week. And it will be an in-depth tutorial or how-to or SEO strategy session type of thing so that you can really go deeper into the learning. So I will put a lot more effort into those videos and make them really comprehensive and teach you as many things as I possibly can in those videos. And you get to vote each week on what videos you want to see and suggest new video ideas. So I have the link pinned up at the top of the chat. So if you want to check that out, you totally can. And the first exclusive video is going to be on April 2nd. It's every single Sunday. There's going to be a new video. So please check that out. And thank you everyone so far who has supported my channel and helped this channel grow. I'm super excited. And I'm super grateful for every single person. You guys have been so amazing and so awesome. So I'm really excited to get to do this. Okay, I think we're past 9. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first store review. The first store that I was reviewing today is called the Three Roses Goods. And by the way, if you have any questions, please type them in the comments at any time and I will just read them, see them pop up, and answer them as fast as I can. So don't be afraid to interrupt me with your questions because I will just keep talking to keep things moving along. Okay, so I'm going to switch this actually so you guys can see my screen. All right. So the first store I'm going to review today is called the Three Roses Goods. And this was a really cute store to review. It was, let me scroll down here and show you guys here. There's mostly POD, print on demand shirts, and there's such a great variety of designs. I thought this was really cute, and a lot of things in here were really fun. My first observations was that this was a really cute shop, really good designs. I love the style of the artwork, but the first thing that I noticed is that some of the colors on the designs are hard to see. So, for example, when you're looking on your phone or you're looking on like a smaller screen, so our main images for Etsy tend to get smaller. So it becomes a little bit more difficult to see what the designs are on any item, no matter what we're selling. So we always want to make sure that whatever our main image is, you can see it really well when it's tiny, like on a cell phone. And if it looks good when it's tiny, you're usually pretty good. So some of these designs were a little bit difficult to see small, and some of them, if I scroll down here, have some tricky colors. Like for example, this one here, it says nurse, but the light pink against the gray, those are two very similar shades of pink. So shades of pink, two very similar like shades on the color spectrum. So it's hard to differentiate one color from another. So I would change that to make it pop. Or even like if you click on this, there's other colors of shirts available. Gotta wait a second for it to load up here. If you change the main image to one of these other shirt colors where it's more visible, I would suggest doing that because it does get a little bit trickier to see. For example, here, the pink word nurse is harder to see than it is on the white. And that's because gray and pink are really, really close on the color, like brightness spectrum. I'm not sure the technical terms for that. So, okay, the next thing that I noticed, I have my notes over here. Okay, so definitely with the colors, I would change some of the colors, either change some of the design colors or change some of the garment colors so that they pop out on those main images. And other than that, they're really, really cute designs. And you've covered some great niches on these designs. So it's a little bit of a trick of the eye with the colors. You can see like here or this one, it's a little bit harder to see. There's a beige ring around here that you can see easier on the gray one, but you can't really see it on the beige sweater. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. And it's kind of a trick for us, for our brains, because when we make our images, we know what our images look like. So even when we see them smaller, sometimes our brain can trick us and our brain will like fill in the gaps of what our eyes can't see, and we can see those details. And other people who've never seen the design before, they may not see those details because their brain doesn't know the design the way ours does. It can't fill in those gaps. So that's just something that is helpful to keep in mind regardless of whatever you're selling. Always check to make sure that the colors are visible against each other and that they look good in small formats like on a mobile phone. The other thing that I noticed about this store when I first looked at it was I had the thought of, oh, wow, this is really expensive. These shirts are kind of pricey. And in reality, they're not. Your prices are totally competitive. They're good, fair prices. But a lot of print on demand sellers use very strategic pricing and, to be honest, maybe a little bit misleading pricing. And you will see a lot of print on demand shirts in the search results that will start at like $10 or $15. But when you actually go buy the shirt, it's $20 to $25. And that's pretty standard. But when you're looking as a buyer at a bunch of different shirts and you're shopping for a specific type of shirt, like a teacher shirt or a nurse shirt or something like that, you will probably be more likely to click on one that says $10 or $15 as opposed to one that says $22 just because it seems cheaper. And in the end, even if you end up paying the same price, it's more about what someone is more likely to click on initially. So I would definitely consider looking at a couple of other print-on-demand shirt sellers and seeing how they structure their pricing. Just go through their drop-down menus and see how all the different prices are like formulated. Some of them have like a child shirt that's cheaper or a onesie that's cheaper or one specific size and color that's cheaper, and then all the rest that, like, for example, they'll have like a white child large that's $10 or $15, and then every other shirt they sell is 20 to 25 bucks. That's pretty standard, but definitely go through and look and see what your competitors are doing and how they're structuring their pricing so that you can put your items on sale or have a little bit more of a competitive price in that search results section. So,
Hang on. Oh, hang on.
okay, so in terms of the listing themselves, this is off to a really, really great start. And let's look at the listing that I really wanted to kind of dig into here is this lab tech shirt. I felt like this was a really cute shirt. This is a great niche. It's a great, there's a lot of potential. There are some competitors that have pretty popular lab or med tech type shirts. So this was a good one to see because it's a smaller niche. And so things like that tend to be less competitive, which is awesome. And we will talk more about that actually in a second. But your images on this listing are pretty good. I love the images. The design pops on every image, which is fantastic. The size chart is easy to see, easy to read. I like how you have specified the width and the length. I was a little bit confused because this says bust and length. So common sense tells you, okay, bust is the width because you can see the size chart with the like written out chart. But I would potentially consider changing one or the other so that either they both say bust or they both say width, just to clarify a little bit. But it looks great other than that. And I love your little thank you image. That's really cute. So great job on the images. There's not a video. If you wanted to do a video, I don't think there's a ton of videos for print on demand shirts from sellers on Etsy, but they do tend to give you an edge up, and statistics have shown that listings with videos do have a higher sales conversion rate. And I think that's because people really trust videos and they really think that if they can see something and they can see it in detail, like they see on a video, with motion and angles and things, that really helps. I think that if you are looking to add videos in the future, Place It is a really, really, really good resource. They have some really well done short videos that you could add of almost every type of t-shirt that you can imagine. So I would definitely check out Place It. I think I have a link in the description below, but it's just placeit.com if I don't have that link down there. The title has really good variety. I think you covered most of the important most of the important words. The one word that I did think was missing that should probably be included is scientist. The other competitors, I looked at a few different competitors with really similar shirts. They all really emphasized on that word scientist, and you do have it down below here. I think it's in the tags. I don't think it's in the description. Let me scroll down here. Sorry if the scrolling makes you dizzy. Okay, I don't see it in the tags or the description. And I think that the two competitors that I looked at, both of them really emphasized that word scientist. And they also had the word science. You have the word science, so that's great. I would consider adding the word scientist. And perhaps if you have to swap something out, maybe on the title, I would really consider maybe dropping one of the lab techs because you have that repeated 3 times plus the laboratory technologist. So you could take one of the lab techs out, but in the tags, I think it was the MLT. Yes, so you have MLT and then you have MLT shirt. I would just take out the MLT tag because one, that's a really short tag, and so you have a lot of space there you could capitalize on. But two, it's a really small niche. And so you don't need 2 tags that are dedicated just to searchers that are typing in MLT. So I would take out just the MLT tag, this one here, and replace that with something that says scientist, like scientist, lab scientist or scientist gift or something along those lines. And eRank is a really, really great resource to tell you what the volume of different keywords is so you can kind of decide which keywords are more important than others. So, and I am putting together a really good SEO video. It's going to be one of the exclusive videos if you want to check that out, all about how to choose different keywords, whether they're high volume or lower volume, or how to kind of break that up and strategize so you're getting a good variety of visibility. Looking at, let me see, I don't want to miss anything here. So the description looks really good. You've covered all of the important information. The main thing that I noticed is that you have this really big paragraph here, so I would add some spaces in here. And the first part of your description is really important because that's also going to be your Google search results little blurb when you search something on Google and you can see a couple sentences in the search results. That's what's going to show up here for you. But if you add spaces like line break spaces, those only count as one character. So you don't have to be afraid to lose a lot of space in your search results or in your SEO, for example. By adding those spaces in, you actually will gain a lot of readability from the buyers, and it's the buyers who are going to actually make the purchase. So a really good thing to kind of capitalize on is adding spacing and using, like, you have these little bullets here, these little arrows, which is super great, super smart. Adding things like that in to help visually break up what you're looking at can really, really help. Okay, the question about the commas. First of all, the question about the reviews. I have a link up pinned in the top of the chat. There's a link that has pretty much all my stuff. So you can get to my bonuses, you can get to my exclusive membership, you can get to a form to submit your store for a live review. I'm blowing my husband's mind over here.
I was looking all over that link.
It's Linktree Insights by Jess. So super easy. I have everything just one location. You can submit your store for review there, and then you can check out all the freebies and all the other good stuff too. In regards to, and I don't care if your stickers are rude, I love funny stuff. So my goal is to be as objective as possible. So it's okay. There is no judgment here. So in regards to the question about the commas, there is literally no right answer to that question, and here's why. The simplest way I can think to explain that is that what works for one store does not always work for another store. So, and Maria, I'm not done. I'm going to come right back to you real quick. But what works for one store may or may not work necessarily for another store. Some stores take out the commas in their titles and do fantastically well. In my opinion, from all of the stores that I have researched and I look specifically for successful stores and stores that are selling well or that have done something great that is notable to talk about in my videos. A lot of them do include commas, or they have like the little straight up and down lines. What are those called? Like the vertical line breaks.
The pipes. They're called pipes.
Like pipes, I guess they're called, and things like that. And I am a big advocate for that. And there's two reasons I'm a big advocate for either commas or the vertical pipes. One reason for that is because even if it helps you in SEO, even if removing commas may benefit you on the back end somewhere, which I don't agree with, but even if they did, it's the humans that will see the search results and click on what they're seeing to buy the product. So having commas or having the little bars really does help differentiate the words for our human eyes, and it can help make it more aesthetically pleasing. The second reason that I like commas or bars is because, and I could be wrong, my husband is a data scientist, so he's probably going to correct me here, but having commas and breaks, specific breaks, from what I understand, helps the Etsy algorithm differentiate between terms. So if you have long tail keywords, like for this example, it's a lab tech t-shirt. If you want that to be one specific phrase that the SEO focuses on, a comma can help the algorithm differentiate that as a specific phrase. Hopefully that makes sense. It's pretty late here. Am I right on that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but we don't really know because Etsy doesn't explain that.
Right. Etsy does not give a ton of details onto how their algorithm works. So a lot of this is just guessing and testing and seeing what works. And one really, really powerful way to kind of test things out is to duplicate your listing. Unless you're selling a one-of-a-kind item, you can duplicate your listing and you can try it one with commas and one without commas, or one with the bars and one without the bars. Or if you're hung up on like, should I do this keyword or that keyword? You can always duplicate your listing and test out different things and then see which listing does better. So that can be really helpful, and it does cost 20 cents per listing, but that's a pretty cheap way to test out your theories, I think. So it can definitely pay off and it can definitely be worth it. So in terms of shop growth for this particular store for Three Roses goods, I think that having as many designs as possible is a really strong strategy that usually works for print-on-demand sellers. So one of the things that I noticed about the store that worked really well and that was really smart and something that I am a big supporter of is duplicating listings. So for example, when I type in dog mom, you see a lot of these Bernedoodle Mama shirts, but they're all different. All the main images are different on these shirts. And that can help you in a couple of ways. That can help increase your visibility in search, which is always great, right? But the better thing is, the more powerful thing is that one buyer is going to be attracted to this pink shirt and a totally different buyer may be attracted to this gray shirt. So not only are you getting more visibility in in shirts, can you tell it's late? Not only are you getting more visibility in searches, but you're also attracting different types of buyers because some people are going to resonate more with one image over another. So keeping that in mind, you've done that and that's amazing. One of the things that I would suggest to continue forward with growing is to duplicate a lot more, not necessarily duplicate, create a lot more designs. So one of the most powerful ways for print-on-demand sellers to grow their store, and there are a lot of print-on-demand shirt stores that are passing the $1 million a year mark. One of the ways they do that is by having a lot of designs to choose from. So the more designs you have to choose from, the better. And that's going to be especially true because some of the shirts you have, like for example, this lab tech, they're pretty small niches. And that's fantastic because you're getting a very targeted type of search. And when someone is looking for like a lab tech gift or a gift for their scientist friend or their lab tech friend or whatever, this is going to pop up a lot faster because it's not as competitive. There's not as many designs to choose from. But on the flip side of that, because it's not as competitive and because there's not as many, there's also not as many people searching for that either. So it's not going to sell as often as some of the really, really big mainstream designs. And the best way to combat that is to add to your design inventory. So the more designs you have, even if they're for smaller niches, the better off you are. And for print on demand, that's true for a lot of reasons. You definitely want to increase your designs pretty much regardless of what you're selling. The more listings you have, the more you're going to sell across the board. So looking at the comments, thank you, Leslie. We try to support each other. We work together for a really long time. So now we're kind of doing our own thing, but we try to jump in and help each other out when we can. So I would definitely suggest the A/B testing, Carla, and just see how things go with the commas or without the commas, and just definitely give them, like you said, you left them for about a month and then change them back. That's a great, great, great strategy because it can take a little bit of time for the Etsy algorithm to update. So you're not necessarily going to see results immediately. Sometimes you might get lucky and someone may just stumble upon a listing and search and buy it. And then you're going to see an immediate surge in those products. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but our sales tend to happen in clusters because Etsy is a clustering algorithm. So when something sells, Etsy is boosting that back up to the top of the list so that it can sell again as soon as possible. And that's why sometimes we will get a big cluster of sales and then sometimes nothing for a couple days or very little for a couple of days and then a cluster again. And then it kind of comes in surges. So definitely you want to give things a couple of weeks, sometimes up to about a month to test out changes and see how they go. So for this particular store, my biggest takeaways were, as I like bang my elbow on the table, my biggest takeaways were to increase the designs and to work on the colors of some of the images, some of the t-shirt designs, because some of these are great and they're super visible and you can easily see what they are. But there's a few here that seem to kind of blend in with the shirt color just a little bit. So when you focus on those things, I think you're really going to be able to hit the ground running and do a fantastic job. If there's anything that you have questions on, please type it in and let me know. And thank you, Red Balloon Stickers, for hanging out with us. And if you want to check out the rest of the live later, it will be available tomorrow for the replay. So thank you for joining us, though.
Ooh, pricing.
Pricing is the trickiest. And one of the first, not the first really, but one of the earlier niches that I went into was t-shirts. And I feel like pricing was a really big challenge because it blew my mind a little bit seeing people selling t-shirts for $10, but when you actually go into the listing and you pick the shirt you want, it was really $20. And it's been a few years, so it's more with inflation gone a little bit higher, but it really did take me a lot of effort to wrap my head around that because I am a very transparent person and I didn't feel like I could figure out a way to fairly offer one shirt size for cheaper than the others. And honestly, what it was is I just picked the least common size, which I think was like a toddler small.
Common size and color.
I think the least common size and the least common color that I offered and make that the cheapest price. And then the more common ones are higher. And by chance, if someone orders that cheaper combination, I lose a couple bucks, but most of the other orders are going to come through with the higher priced combinations. And it more than makes up for those random rare orders where someone actually wants like a brown child small or something like that. So it is a little bit tricky to navigate that pricing, and it is a little bit kind of, I feel like, a mental exercise because you have to not only see what other people are doing, but also feel like you can come up with something fair. So that was tricky. Okay, I'm going to jump over to the second store review, and please keep putting your questions up in the search, and I will keep trying to answer those questions as they come along. The second store is called Trust Print Plan, and this was a cool digital store with actually a pretty good amount of planners. This is a relatively new store, so it's pretty cool. On first glance, my first observations, I love the selection because some of these are things that I would have never thought to make a product for, like a chemotherapy journal. And I love that, or an IVF fertility planner. I love that you're seeing these things that I'm a big proponent of. I don't know where the phrase comes from, but there's an old phrase of see a need, fill a need. And I might be quoting Dr. Seuss right now.
Robots movie.
Is it Robots? Okay, I'm quoting a kid's movie right now. But see a need, fill a need. It's pretty universal concept, right? And I love how some of these really do fill a genuine need. There are people who need these types of products, and I think that's really great. When I was looking at the store, I'm going to look at my notes here so I don't miss anything important. I don't have my glasses on, so I have lights here because it's dark outside, so when I put my glasses on, it's like glare right in everybody's face because of my glasses, so I'm sacrificing the glasses, so I'm, like, gonna squint like an old lady right now. Okay, so first of all, I did want to answer questions because when this store was submitted, there was a couple of questions that came with it. And the biggest question was about payment options because this seller is based in India. And in India right now, as of late March 2023, there are more limited payment options. So this seller only has access to offering PayPal as a payment option for their customers. And I think based on conversations we've had in the comments before, their visibility might also only be limited to Indian customers. But correct me if I'm wrong. If you can sell to non-Indian customers, please let me know. But I think if I remember correctly, you're only able to sell to customers in India. And that does affect your sales because your customer base is more limited. And some people, not a lot of people, but some people will definitely be turned off. Oh, from USA. Okay, so you're able to sell worldwide. Sweet. Having PayPal only as a payment option can be limiting because some people just don't like PayPal for various reasons. And so that can be a little bit limiting. But the good news is that Etsy is aware that this is a problem. Etsy is aware that India is a massive, massive source of potential revenue for them. And they are already working on their own specific payment platform for their sellers in India. So hopefully sooner rather than later, they're going to be able to roll out those payments and the payment options so you can accept credit cards and all of that good stuff. And that's going to help you overcome any of the issues with people who don't like PayPal and things like that. Is there an MJ watching? I see a comment asking if MJ is the owner of Ratty Tank. And I'm curious too because I did a video on Ratty Tank. So if you're watching this, I would love for you to shout out and say hi. So I'll fangirl a little bit because I love Ratty Tank. It's a great store. Okay. I do. I love them. They're like one of my first videos that I showcased because they do mock-ups for print on demand and they're awesome. Okay. So in terms of these actual products in the storefront, I did notice that some of them look a little bit busy. And I am getting older, so my eyes are not quite what they were even like 2 years ago or 5 years ago. But for example, for this one, you have a few elements to focus on, and my eyes don't quite know where to go. So I'm gonna make a bigger, there we go. I'm gonna go a little bit bigger here so I can explain it better on the screen. So here is a lot of things to look at. So you have 50 pages in yellow, you have 5 colors in green. I love at the top how you say in clear black bold lettering what it is. It's a letter size, comes in 5 colors, 50 pages, instant download. I think that part is fantastic. I love that. I don't like this right here in the middle, how it says simple and clean chemo planner, for 2 reasons. One, the skinny letters can be hard to see on the storefront. So for example, when I go here to your main page, it's hard to read what these mini, like tiny little skinny letters in the middle say. And on the bottom underneath where it has the skinny letters, I can't read that at all because I'm old. But it is important information. If you wanted to maybe have a banner along the bottom that said that instead of having it like in the middle on a notebook paper, that could be beneficial. That could like be a little bit easier to see. My main suggestion for your main images overall is just to simplify. So I like that you have showcased the actual product, and I love how you have the information at the top. I would stick to maybe one color to say like 50 pages, 5 colors. And then I would take this Adobe PDF symbol completely out. You can say PDF here if you want along the top bold part, or say PDF along the bottom banner. But a lot of people, especially when it's small like this, they don't know like from first glance that this is an Adobe PDF symbol. Probably because Adobe could do a better job on their branding, but it does make it look really busy and our eyes aren't quite sure where to look first. So I would just suggest simplify, simplify, simplify. And kind of the same advice as the last store, always make sure that you can see it when it's really little, like if you're scrolling on your phone or something like that, and that will make it a lot easier to see. We are tag teaming my daughter, my 16-year-old. She is my admin actually in her after school hours in her spare time. So she helps me with some of the back end stuff because running a YouTube channel is a surprisingly lot of work, a lot more work than I expected it to be. So we're a full family event over here. So, okay, so in terms of the images, I think I covered everything for that. And then I wanted to look at this right here. So this is, I love how my email's consistently popping up, like sign into email, but I have nothing Google open anywhere. Okay, so this is a pretty popular product so far. It says it's in 7 carts, which is great. And I think that you've done a really good job. This is a more simple image than this one here, for example. So it's a lot easier to see. And this is really popular as well. It's in 10 carts. So that's really awesome. You are killing it with like the whole see a need, fill a need concept. I love that. My husband thinks I'm such a dork. I don't care. It's okay. I'm a dork. It works out. So, so anyways, I love this particular product because it does capitalize on a small niche. Only people who do the notary service are probably going to buy this, but it is something that is useful and it helps them do their job better. And because it does really help them, it's becoming popular. It's really smart. So you've done a really good job in terms of not only capitalizing on things where you can see a need for these type of items, but again, you have a pretty good variety of items. You have 49 different journals already. And from what I could tell, I didn't see duplicates. And I could be wrong, but I didn't really see, I saw some similar things, but I didn't see any duplicates. So that's a pretty decent selection. I've seen 6-figure sellers that are bringing in, I've seen $500,000 a year sellers pretty much with just 20 listings. So this is really impressive. I think your video was really well done. I loved that, if it plays here, I loved that you have the part right here that just fills it in so you can see how easy it is to use it, and you make it look really simple and really clean. And I think that's really smart. And then I like how you really broke down what it comes with and the idea that you can both use it digitally and edit it directly on your phone or your tablet or whatever digitally, but you can also print it, which I thought was really great. And you say digital download, and then you show that it can be printed. The only suggestion in terms of images is to remove this particular image. So this one kind of threw me off a minute because it is showing a hardbound journal, and something like that comes pretty intensively like connected together. This isn't something that someone printed and then just like put in a binder. So it confused me a little bit. So I would suggest taking this one out just because you get customers sometimes who will see an image and think, oh, that looks like a printed journal. This must be a printed journal. And they'll buy it without thinking twice. And then they will get frustrated when no printed journal arrives at their house. And I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but it never ceases to amaze me how many times that tends to happen, even in standard printable things. People will sometimes occasionally message you and say, hey, where's my stuff? It didn't come to my house. And you have to explain, this was digital and you have to download it. So I would definitely just consider removing this particular image, and the rest of the images are great. I think you've done a really good job of really showing what it is and how to use it. And I loved this one where it says print with ease, save it, print it, or use it digitally. I thought that was really, really smart. So really well done on that. In terms of SEO, the SEO seems pretty on point. And this is true for, I looked at a few different listings. This seemed pretty true across the board. We're doing a poll. My husband must be bored watching the videos.
I was just testing stuff.
So, I feel like I'm trying to watch the comments. So, I think that in general, the SEO you have is well done. You've done some good research. You've really paid attention to what your competitors are doing. I didn't notice anything particularly missing except for 3 big kind of key things. I would focus on including that you do start here with printable right here, and you have editable right here. I would focus on in your title tags and especially in your description that it is printable, that it is downloadable, and that it is editable. So the bigger thing here in terms of what I'm talking about is going to be in your description. So you have a great description, but right here at the beginning, it doesn't really have an appeal statement. And I am like super strict. I'm a stickler, I guess, about appeal statements because you do get that opportunity to capitalize on SEO right at the very beginning of your description. So I would suggest taking this little highlighted part and adding it into a sentence or two that explains that it's printable, digital, and editable. That's a lot of ables there. So printable, digital, and editable. And just get all of those keywords in there and all of the big things that people are going to search for when they are looking for a digital product. Other than that, the content of the description is fantastic. I love how you have it broken up with emojis and stars and all of that. That looks fantastic. And your tags are really well done. You have a really good job of bigger broader search tags. Even though notary is still within itself pretty small, you do have a good balance of bigger searches and really niche searches like Texas Notary Journal. That's really niche. So you've covered a good spectrum of particular searches to target. So I feel like that was really, really well done. Honestly, I think the only suggestion for SEO that I have is to fix the description and add in a appeal statement. And then I think you're pretty golden. You've got all the right elements and everything looks pretty good. And I think that's why you're starting to see some popularity messages pop up, like in 7 carts, and this one is in 10 carts, and these are becoming pretty popular. And Etsy is kind of like a snowball. It has a snowball effect. So the more you sell, the more you're going to sell. So I know it can start out pretty slow, but the more you sell, the more it's going to start to pick up and up and up.
Leslie wants to know a few examples.
Yeah, I'm reading right now. Okay. You can add a personalization option to ask the buyer if they know that it's a digital product. That is actually a smart idea. A lot of party sellers do something very similar. It's an idea that's been recently catching on. And they kind of say, type yes if you understand everything in the description, read the description and type yes if you understand, kind of thing. And that seems to be helping them out quite a bit in terms of at least arguing their case if a buyer doesn't understand. Like, what do you mean? You were supposed to read it and you said yes. So that is definitely a potentially good idea. In terms of the appeal statements, okay. I haven't really, I do talk a lot about appeal statements because products are so different from store to store. I haven't really talked too much about specific appeal statements, but the main elements of an appeal statement are to take your main keywords, regardless of whatever it is you're selling. You are going to have main keywords. So if you're selling a dinosaur t-shirt, your main keywords are dinosaur shirt, right? If you're selling a medical planner, for example, your keywords are medical planner. So sometimes you may have 2 keywords, sometimes you may have 4 that you want to emphasize. The first 160 characters of your description are the most important. That is what's going to make up your Google search description. So what pops up in Google search. And it's also going to be more heavily factored into Etsy's algorithm. They don't really specify what they include and what they don't. But the first 160, we do know that is important, at least because of Google. And Google is a massive source of traffic for Etsy. And Etsy actually pays money to show up in priority searches for Google. So, yeah, so ads are really important. And in terms of an appeal statement, you want to take your main keywords and then you want to make them sound as pretty and enticing and amazing as possible, right? So if you're selling a medical planner, for example, you could have something that says, this digital medical planner solves all of your organizational needs. Never worry about keeping track of your medical stuff again and just organize all of your medical needs in this simple planner that is downloadable, printable, and easy to use. So, just off the top of my head, I would consider adding in those main keywords with a sentence that makes it sound like, oh, this solves your problem. Oh, this helps your life. Oh, this makes your life better in some way. Or, oh, you're going to be the coolest person for buying this purse. Whatever it may be, you want to really be, this is your opportunity to be salesy and to say, this is better than everything else. And here's why. So that's always kind of the bulk of the appeal statement. So hopefully that makes sense.
They have a question about the pricing.
Okay. In terms of the pricing, so pricing can be really.
No, he wants to know if the pricing right.
Yeah, I see that. Pricing can be really all over the map in terms of products. And I think some of the things that you have that are, for example, this one is 27 pages for $275. You have this one is 60 pages for $342. The cancer one is 50 pages for $4.23. I think that those are good prices, and people are obviously buying this because it's in 10 people's carts. But my suggestion typically when selling digital designs is to start low, and then as you start getting feedback, to raise your prices a little bit at a time until you get to a point where you feel like it's a fair price and people are still buying it. So if you raise it to a certain point and people stop buying it, you know you've gone too far and you can raise it back down a little bit. In terms of digital products specifically, I would suggest not raising your prices until you have a good number of reviews that tell people, oh, this is a good product and I can trust this seller. So, for example, you have 41 shop reviews, which is a great start. So, I would suggest when it hits 50, raise your prices a little bit. When it hits 75, raise your prices more. Um, However, this is totally subjective. So if you feel like you're undercharging and you want to raise the prices up, you can raise the prices up. And if they don't sell, you can put them back down. And you may lose a couple of days of sales, but you've learned something very valuable and you're learning where people are willing to spend money and where they're not. What are you telling me to wait for?
The sound is good.
Oh, no. Is the sound back on?
No. Hang on.
My sound is horrible.
Okay, it's back on.
Is my sound back on? Okay. And I apologize. I'm so sorry for my audio. The only computer we have in this house that can apparently handle streaming is my 2016 Asus laptop, and the USB ports are fried. So the sound sometimes cuts in and out. So of all the electronics we have, and we have a lot because my husband's a data scientist, but everything we have, this is what I'm stuck with. But in a couple of weeks, hopefully we should have a better computer and this will no longer be a problem. Carla, the favorites. Whew, I have a video coming out next week about favorites. Actually, it's I don't like favorites. That's one of the things that tends to, in my opinion, kind of bite people in the butt. Sometimes they're great because they can help people remember what they wanted to buy. But if a bunch of people are favoriting things that they don't intend to actually purchase, it can do more damage than good to your store. But I have a whole, it's like a 7-minute video coming out specifically about that. So make sure you check that out next week. In terms of, let's see, for the store, I covered the SEO. I think you're off to a great start. I think you have some pretty good products. I think you have really done well, and you are, I think, a really new store. I'm just looking to see. September of 2022. So you're not quite September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So you're at the 7 month mark. I counted on my fingers and still confused myself. That's how you know it's late. It was a school day here, so it's been a day. So for a 7-month store, I think you're doing really good. You're off to a really good start to have as many products as you have and to have the feedback that you have, and really your SEO is good. Like everything is good. And something else I wanted to point out that I skipped in my notes earlier. I love that you respond to everybody's feedback. I'm going to go to the first page so other people can see it. I think it is so awesome, and it really made me smile when I was looking at this the first time, because some of your responses are so Awesome. They're adorable. Like when you say your kind words are like a sugar rush and put a smile on our faces, it was like, oh, I love that. That's so awesome. And things like that make people's day a little bit better. And so seeing things like that can make a big difference in the overall vibe of your store. So I love that. And I just wanted to point that out to you that I thought that was super cool. So I think you're off to such a great start. And I think once Etsy works out the kinks of the payment system and opens up those credit card payments, you're really going to be able to just knock this way out of the park and do fantastic. So, really great job so far. And I think that's everything that I wrote notes on. If you have any questions, please type them below.
So we got one more.
Yeah, we have one more store. I just taking a quick break to read the comments.
You're all caught.
Okay. And then I have one last store, and please keep typing any questions that you have because I love being able to hopefully try and answer them. Okay, so the last store is called Days of a Tree, and this is a pretty new store. So, I believe if I go back to the feedback, I believe it's like 3 months old. Their oldest feedback is January 3rd. So yeah, not even quite about 3 months old, which is fantastic because there's already 114 sales on this store. So I thought that was super cool. And the owner of the store told me to be brutal in terms of reviewing. This store, I really wanted to be brutal. I wanted to live up to expectations, but I really couldn't find a whole lot of things to criticize about this store. So, my first observations of this store was that they have a lot of popular items for a 3-month-old store. So, if I scroll through here, I already have it store and you're looking at competitors. You always want to click most to see what's actually selling and what's popular. The best sellers will usually pop up first here, and things like people have this, that's going to pop up first. So you can see a lot of these messages here. There's 4 here, and if I scroll down a little bit, there's more of these messages. And I think on the, this is a different layout than before when I looked at it, but there's quite a few of the popular messages of this is in a lot of people's carts. And what I noticed was that almost all of those messages were on digital items. So that caught my attention for sure. And that is also true about the feedback. So if you go down to the feedback, almost all of the feedback is also on digital items. So that's really interesting because your store is a broader store. Everything in this store is most things in this store, not everything, are faith-based products. And so that in itself is a niche. And that does give you a little bit of flexibility to do faith-based print on demand items, faith-based physical products, faith-based digital products, because your particular faith or your particular religion that you choose, that in itself is a niche. But this does incorporate all of those different types of products. And I did notice that the digital products are the most popular. And I see that you commented that you made those first and you just switched to POD. I'm curious why you switched to POD. Was there a reason that you switched to that? Because the digital stuff is like on point. Everyone seems to really like that. So was it just trying to diversify or get other potential avenues of income in, or were you just bored of making digital items? I would love to hear why you switched to POD. There's no wrong answer. Okay, you wanted to do both. Okay, that makes sense. I can relate to that. That's why I have this channel, because I just always wanted to open another Etsy store, and my husband was like, stop, just start a channel and review them instead of jumping from idea to idea. So I feel that. Um, I think that this is a great niche, and I think that you have, religion can be a really strong niche and a really great like unifier. So I think that's really fantastic. I think that the POD shirts, it's interesting because you said you just switched to those. So I was initially going to tell you to separate those, and I still think that you should probably put those in their own store. So you can have more than one Etsy store, and it is a little bit more work to navigate two stores because you have two dashboards and um, two sets of messages to kind of navigate and all of that. But there are a lot of perks on the back end in terms of the algorithm. So all of the things that have sold in your store so far have been, or the majority of them have been, your printables. And those have already gained a lot of popularity. So the print on demand products that you are adding, they're confusing the Etsy algorithm a little bit because Etsy is learning from every purchase, right? And every time someone clicks one of your products and then makes a purchase, Etsy's algorithm says, oh, this is the type of buyer I should show these products to. And then it finds potential matches of similar buyers to show your products to in the future. And that's fantastic. But when we start adding in different types of products, Etsy doesn't know how to process that. So it's like, oh, who do I show this to? What do I do? I'm so confused. So I would suggest separating those. I love you have some really cute shirts, and I think that the notebooks are cute. And I agree with you. There's a lot of notebooks that do go more with like the sarcasm and the funny phrases that can sometimes not be family friendly. So I love that you have thought of um, kind of filling the space with something a little bit more family friendly and open to everybody. I would definitely suggest pulling them into their own store, because that's going to have then its completely own separate algorithm on what types of people are buying shirts, because different people are going to buy, for example, these neurodivergent shirts or the pumpkin spice shirts than the people who are buying the stationery and the planners and all of your faith-based products. So, to simplify things and to really help your store grow faster, I would separate those so that all of your faith based products are in one store and all of your other products are in another store. And that is also true. I saw you have jewelry, and I know, let me see here. I'm going to click on it in the menu, if I can find it in the menu here. I'm hovering over it in the menu. Okay, so all of your jewelry a lot of it is faith-based, but because it's a physical product and it's more of a gift type product, I would also separate that with your POD shirts. So I would keep those with the other physical products and have your digital products in their own separate store. And what that's going to do is really help Etsy streamline its algorithm and target in on your specific buyers. And that's going to help you grow very um, fast compared to having a mixed store. Because the more um, I say niche down a lot, and I think a lot of times that's more of a broader business phrase, but the more specific your products are, the faster Etsy is going to be able to learn, because it's going to be a very similar profile of customer who purchases your products each time, and that's easier for Etsy to interpret and then expand upon. So it works very similar to ads. If you were to pay Google to run ads, what they're going to do is take the insane amount of information that they collect from all of us all the time, every single day, and they're going to use that information to show us ads of things we're going to actually buy. And Etsy works the same way. So I would keep your store very specific to one particular type of customer or particular type of product. And then you can have the other store with the other type of product. So I would suggest doing that because that can just really supercharge your sales. And then in terms of the products, let's see.
Layout of the shops.
I honestly don't think it matters. The layout of the shop pages doesn't matter, and that's going to be mostly because Etsy is changing that layout depending on who stumbles upon your shop. So if I look at someone's shop and you look at someone's shop, the first page we land on of their shop page is going to look different to each of us because Etsy has collected all of our information and it's showing us what it thinks we most want to see. Sometimes it's right, usually it's right, sometimes it's not. But for example, even if you go to like an incognito tab, since I'm always researching stores, right? So I'm always looking for new stores to highlight in my videos. Even if I go to an incognito tab and I'm looking for something like a digital product, it's going to show me products from the stores I've already seen first because Etsy has taken the information that I like these and I want to see these first. It has no idea that I'm looking for totally different ideas because I've already done those videos. It has my data and it's telling itself, hey, she's looked at this, this, and this, show this. So your shop pages are going to be unique based upon who views your page and what they've previously looked at. So I would not worry too much about your shop pages specifically. You can put some effort into things like your logo and your shop header and your announcement and all of that, but the rest of it is not that important. And then your best sellers, you can also feature as like featured products, but the rest of it doesn't matter. As long as your menu is sectioned in a way that makes sense, which yours is, you have a great menu, you're fine. Okay, in regards to Pinterest, I love Pinterest. Pinterest is a massive, massive source of potential traffic for Etsy. There's a direct correlation between I featured a video not too long ago. I'll have to look it up. I'm not sure which one it was, but somebody had done a pretty big survey of Etsy sellers and asked them which social media platform had the best payoff for them in terms of traffic. And 44% of people who answered the survey all said Pinterest. And then the other 56% was divided amongst the other platforms. So by far, Pinterest was the winner in terms of generating revenue for their stores. It does take some work and it's a lot like Google. So it's a long-term gain. You do want to pin things and you want to take your time. I wouldn't worry about creating vertical pins. I know everybody says that's the best for Pinterest, and it is, honestly, but it's not the end of the world. If you have limited time, there is, if you can see it, I have this little button right here that's pin. It's like a little pin extension. If you click it, it will let you pin your things, and it only takes a second. And you can pin 5 listings within a minute or so, a minute and a half maybe. And even though they're not the like longer form pins that everybody says do the best, they will still help you, they will still benefit you. And it's one of those things where you do what you can with the tools that you have and the time that you have to do it. So if you can't do the elaborate fancy content creation, just pin the images from your Etsy listings directly. It will still help and it will still benefit you, and it will take a little time to like work its way into the Pinterest algorithm and stuff, but it will help. And yes, the Pinterest save button is super easy. Tailwind is helpful. It is a little bit pricey, I think, for some, especially for newer sellers. It can be pricey. It is worth it if you have time to dedicate to content creation and to really make and schedule out your pins. Oh, there's a free version. I'll have to check that out. I have the paid version of Tailwind. I've had it for a few years, so I didn't know there was a free version. But that's really smart. I'll definitely check that out. Thank you for sharing that. But the Pinterest save button is super, super helpful. And I think they have one for most browsers, so you don't have to have Chrome. So for this listing in particular is the one that I wanted to review. I thought this was genius. I love this. It's so well done and it's so cute. I like the video. It's really cute and it's aesthetically pleasing. You have like just the right amount of information and the right amount of graphic. You make it look easy. And then you can see all of the individual images from your video as actual images. So I like that. And I thought that your information photos were really good. I love how you say instantly print and then you show how to print it. And I love how you say you can use it digitally, you can use it with apps like Notability or GoodNotes, etc. And then this one with the instant download only and where they can download it from, which is great because I know that a lot of people ask that question. So that's super, super helpful. In terms of improving your particular listings, I feel like you really have such a great handle on your SEO. I can tell you did a lot of research and you did a lot of planning in terms of your SEO. I noticed that you didn't have the word Jehovah in your title. So for being a faith-based product, it does say JW a lot, but it doesn't actually have Jehovah. So I'm not sure if you did that intentionally, but I think that it could definitely help you for more targeted searches. So you want to go for broader searches and then you want to go for like smaller, more targeted searches. And so if you include the word Jehovah, that may help bring you those more like the smaller, more targeted searches. And then I think you did a good job with your description. You have a good intro here, but I think it can be reworded a little bit just to make it more salesy, I guess. Like the words kind of run together a little bit for me because I can see that you have included a lot of potential uses for this, like the convention and the ministry meetings and study meetings and things like that, which is great because you get all those keywords. I would just see if maybe you can even just move this one to the front and then have that second sentence here to get those keywords. But I think the rest of your description, you've done such a great job. You have all the important information. I love the little arrows so things are separated and you can see clearly, which is fantastic. And then going down to your tags, I noticed you do have Jehovah's Witness in your tags. So I would definitely consider adding that into your title as well, just to add a little bit more emphasis to that word. And looking at my notes, I think you've really done a good job balancing repetition and variety. So, for example, in your title, you can see that you focused on kids' workbook and you have repeated that perfectly. I see 3 times workbook, 3 times kids, and in different kind of combinations, which is fantastic. And then you have a lot of other words added in there, and that's perfect. So I wanted to be brutal. After I saw your email about being brutal, I was like, okay, let's see what stuff can I come up with. Honestly, you're killing it. You're doing great. I would just consider separating the stores so that your products are not all in one and you're not confusing the Etsy algorithm. And I think you're going to really do fantastic once you're able to streamline into this is my specific niche and this is my specific type of product and customer. So I think it's fantastic. That's really my biggest piece of advice for this store. So that's it for the store reviews. Do you guys have any questions on anything I've covered or anything I missed or anything like that at all? Want to give you guys a few minutes to ask questions and get your questions solved. And while you guys are typing your questions, I do want to mention again, in case you missed the first few minutes, I do have the membership that I just launched today. It has one brand new exclusive video a week starting April 2nd. Every single Sunday, it will be a very in-depth tutorial or something that you vote on. So every Sunday you can vote on a new topic for a new video and see an exclusive video. There's also discounts on some of the, like my workbook is discounted, and then you can download all of the freebies in one shot for free and some other little perks to it as well. The link is in the very top, pinned at the top if you want to check out what is included in there and check out my freebies as well. And if you have a second and you're feeling generous and want to buy me a coffee, I'm always up for a coffee. That would be great. And thank you guys so much for joining me. And thank you for submitting your stores and being so awesome. What?
Carla left you a nice note.
And thank you, Carla, for your store is killing it. I think you guys all did good. 10% conversion rate. Honestly, the conversion rate is going to vary day by day. I think 7 is a good conversion rate. That you're going to see some days with lower conversion rates. And I think honestly, it depends on the niche. It depends on your type of product too, because I think if I remember correctly, it's been a couple years, but if I remember correctly, my conversion rate on the shirts was drastically different than what my conversion rate is on digital products. So I think I wouldn't worry too much about the conversion rate. I would probably focus more on if you're getting a lot of views and not a lot of sales, I would consider looking and seeing if there's a disconnect somewhere. Why are people looking at your stuff but not buying it? But otherwise, I think if you're averaging between even like a 3 to 7% conversion rate, you're doing pretty good. And that's without ads. If you're running ads, that may go up a little bit higher because your traffic is going to be a little bit more targeted. But for digital products, I think if you have a 7% conversion rate, you're really doing good. And from what I saw in your store, you are on point. You are doing really great. Yeah, I always look at it in terms of views versus purchases. And I try to look at it in terms of how many people are looking at my products versus how many people are actually purchasing my products. And 1 to 2% conversion rate is typical across the e-commerce board. So if you, 3% is a great conversion rate. So in terms of e-commerce, 3% is fantastic. And you're doing really, really good job. So especially for digital downloads. Yeah. So I think you're doing good and I wouldn't worry. It's really more of a waiting game because your store is relatively new and some of your products are going to take a while. It can take, sometimes they say up to a month for some reason.
30 to 60 days.
30 to 60 days it can take to get into the full Etsy algorithm in terms of what you're selling. And so when you make changes, that same concept is true as well. It can take 30 to 60 days for your changes to reflect. But also, if someone buys something, you're going to probably see it sell a couple more times because Etsy's going to push what sells. So alt image tags. Great question. Okay. So this is where, yeah, I was just talking about this actually. And I made a short about this on my YouTube channel. So the tags for images, you can definitely edit those and you can customize this. I would suggest if you have time and it's not like a burden on your schedule, go ahead and add your own alt text into each image and focus on your main keywords. And you want it to be readable because the point of alt text is to be for people who maybe can't see the image. So you want it to be readable and you want it to make sense and pertain to the actual image that they're looking at. But that is a really good opportunity to add in extra SEO, so extra keywords. However, if you don't have time and that just seems like a lot of work and you're really not capable of doing that right now, that's okay. This is where your title becomes really important. The first 100, I believe it's the first 100 characters of your title are going to be in your alt text. That's the default text for your alt text for every single image. So if you have 10 images on your Etsy listing, the alt text for all of them will be your title, and then it will say image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4, whatever, all the way through. So the first part of your title is the very most important in terms of SEO because that's going to go into your alt text for your images and it's going to be re-emphasized. So it's not necessary if you structure your title really well, but it does help you if you want to take the extra time to go in there and to kind of streamline it a little bit more, tweak it a little bit better. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay. For many of the same type of listing, I would definitely make slightly different titles. Even if it's the first word on the title and then the rest can all be the same, make it slightly different just to help not just like for competing with yourself, but also so that when you're seeing what's selling, you know what's selling and you know what's not. Because when you see, for example, if you have 5 of the same listing and you see 1 or 2 of them selling consistently, but 3 or 4 of them are not, you know, okay, those main images are resonating or something about those particular listings is resonating better than the other ones, and you can learn from that. So I would definitely do something to differentiate those listings so that you can tell the difference. And then in terms of explaining the image visually, I wouldn't worry about um the colors and things like that. You can definitely add the colors in there, but if it's not relevant to the product or the SEO, I wouldn't worry too much about adding it in there. So I would just try to make it more explanatory. So, yeah, you can definitely generate alt text. That's a good way to do it. But anytime you use AI for anything, whether it's Chat GTP or Google Vision, always review it and make sure it has the elements that you need. Make sure it's got the right keywords in there. Make sure it's not missing anything important. So sometimes the AI, the tech, it doesn't know what's important and what's not. Canva mockup templates are definitely still relevant. Definitely Canva is still really growing and starting to even build up steam. So I do have a video. I posted the video a couple days ago about mock-ups, but I think honestly for digital wall art, there's such a wide variety out there. I would focus on just trying to be unique, but also trying to be visually appealing. So I wouldn't worry too much if the mock-up templates are from Canva or where they're from. I would worry about whether they look aesthetically pleasing. And that can come down to something as simple as cropping it a certain way. So if you have a digital wall art frame, for example, like a picture frame on a wall, and it's cropped out to where the frame is really small versus where the frame is proportional on the wall in the image, that can make a big difference. And even things on the side, like if it's a children's wall art, if it has like a children's room on the side, that can make a big difference compared to being on a plain wall. So in terms of mock-ups, I wouldn't worry about where you get them from so much as what the image itself is conveying and how it really relates to the image or the product that you're selling. Okay. So I think that's it. I think I'm going to wrap this up since it's getting kind of late and I don't want to keep you guys too long. But if you continue to have questions, please yes, definitely more of the staging. Please go ahead and type in any questions you have in the comments, and I will keep responding to all the comments off camera. Yes. And don't worry, be happy pun shirt. Yeah, always be specific in terms of what you're selling, but always get those main keywords in there. So I'm gonna let you guys go because I have to go to bed soon. It's 10:30 at night here, and I've got to get up for my kids in the morning. But thank you guys so much for joining me, and thank you for submitting your stores to be reviewed. I hope I provided some good, helpful advice and tips and all of that good stuff. And I will keep an eye on the comments and get back to you guys, hopefully, like I always do. And thank you. I will see you again for my next video, which drops on Thursday. So have a great evening or afternoon, everybody. And thank you for joining me. See you again soon.